Welcome to the Opportunity Podcast, where entrepreneurs come to learn from real buyers, sellers, and industry experts on the lesser-known growth opportunities to build their online business empires. We'll uncover tactics veteran online business entrepreneurs have used to build, buy, flip, and sell their way towards personal wealth. Sit back, grab a coffee, and get ready to uncover hidden growth secrets. The Opportunity Podcast starts now.
And welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast, your go-to resource for hitting growth opportunities throughout online business. We're your hosts. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Sarah, and thanks for joining us for our latest episode. Today we'll be speaking with Matt Diggety, owner and CEO of Diggety Marketing, Lead Spring, Search Initiative, Authority Builders, Affiliate Lab, and the host of the annual Chiang Mai SEO conference in Thailand. So as you can see, Matt stays pretty busy. Matt left the burnout of 60-hour work weeks behind to pursue a new life fueled by his passion for building the best affiliate sites. Now a leader in SEO, he sits down with us to explore the nitty-gritty of SEO and how he manages his own deal flow.
Yeah, that's right. We're really excited to have Matt on the call with us today. And Matt's going to discuss, some of the current trends taking place in the fascinating world of SEO and how business owners can focus on growing their backlink profiles, along with the tricks to optimizing their SEO, whether their business is content-based or not. Matt dives deep into his approach to acquiring and scaling new acquisitions with the help of his team, and how business owners today can prepare their sites for future Google algorithm updates moving forward into 2021. But we don't want to give away too much just yet, so why don't we dive into the interview and see what Matt has to share. And at the end of the episode, we'll go over some of the best listings on the Empire Flippers marketplace that highlight the growth opportunities we've learned about here today. So let's get started. And welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast. So really excited to have special speaker on the call with us today is Matt Diggety. So stranger to the space. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with you, Matt. Thank you for coming onto the call with us today.
It's a pleasure. And yeah, good to actually talk to you again. It's been about a year and nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the last time we saw each other, we were on Boi Vien in Vietnam, having a great time seeing the fire throwers and a lot of the craziness that goes on in Vietnam. So yeah, why don't you introduce us to kind of where you are currently in the world then, Matt?
I am presently in Koh Samui, Thailand. Normally I live in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and we're just down here for a few months, just taking the family down here. There's a bunch of SEOs as well, and just doing a beach thing for a little bit.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, Koh Samui is really nice. I really love the islands in that area, Koh Phangan, Koh Tao. Just all three of those islands are always a lot of fun to get down there and enjoy. So that's great.
Yeah, no complaints.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Cool. So for our listeners that might not be familiar with your story, Matt, and how you got into online business, why don't you give us an introduction, how you got started in working online from the very beginning?
Sure. I was an engineer living in San Diego, California, electrical engineer. And I had a buddy that me and him were both positioned and or stationed in San Diego, so to speak, but our company was up in the Silicon Valley. And we were just getting burnt out, like completely burnt out. We saw the path of what happens if you stick around in this industry. Well, looks like you get bald, you get fat, and you get grouchy. So we're just like, okay, what are we going to do to get out of this? One of us got a hold of the 4-hour work week. And then our minds were just poisoned. There's no way we could stay on this ship for long. So the first avenue we started to work online is we made a website called caveday.com that was completely about like being hungover. To going out being hungover is a blog about like the silliness of how ridiculous hangovers are, yet we still do it every weekend. And we tried monetizing that with AdSense and like selling a breathalyzer and stuff like that. But that was the first dollar made online.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great first introduction, I guess, into the online business space is, creating something kind of an offset product, I guess, or an off-topic subject of a info, site. So that's really awesome to hear. Now, so how was it that you went from, building this website with your partner and you guys were trying to get out of the, I guess, kind of the electrical engineering field and getting into the online business space? How did you eventually come about to finding or, actually like finding Empire Flippers or buying websites in general?
Sure. So I had more success, obviously, since Cave Day. I wonder what Cave Day is doing right now. It's probably a PBN. Yeah. But I had more success since then. And eventually, I went off on my own. I quit the career as an electrical engineer and ended up exploring affiliate SEO a little bit more. I got into niches like ergonomic chairs, yoga, stuff like that, and eventually ended up leaving the States and really doubling down on being an affiliate SEO. And I remember once I had landed in Chiang Mai and had established myself here, started building up a network. You start meeting people and they're giving you suggestions and stuff. And one of my buddies, Kurt Phillip, he was seeing my situation. He was saying like, dude, you're managing like 12 sites and I see you're getting spread thin. Why don't you consider like selling one of these? And I just had this perception that, okay, if you sell a website, you're going to flippa.com, you're going to get scammed or something like that. Sorry for anyone listening from Flippa, by the way. I'm not throwing you under the bus. That's just how it was back then. Right. But anyways, it just seemed like it was a pain in the butt. But Kurt was like, well, I got these buddies, Justin and Joe. They're from the DC. They run Empire Flippers, and they take care of all the hard stuff for you, the vetting, the organization, the finding of a buyer, and all that kind of stuff. So why don't you give it a shot? And I sold a few sites with you guys, like right off the bat.
Oh, that's really awesome. You were able to find the marketplace and you be able to get those connections while you were overseas already and, kind of already in that sphere. I know that a lot of the DC guys, that was actually one of my first employment jobs was through Dynamite Circle and their job board, in the Philippines. And yeah, really great community that you were able to just kind of build those connections right from the beginning. So why don't you just tell us a little bit more, what is it that you're currently working on right now? What are some of the main projects that you have, within your network as far as what you're working on at this time?
Sure. Well, we have Diggety Marketing, which is my overall brand, and it encompasses businesses like the Chiang Mai SEO conference. And it's also diggitymarketing.com is also a blog itself where I talk about SEO and things that I've tested, just approaching the Google algorithm from the perspective of an engineer and testing everything. On top of that, my primary source of income is from LeadSpring. LeadSpring is a media group. We're just completely set up to building, ranking, monetizing, and flipping content websites. After that, I have a client-facing agency called the Search Initiative. We're mostly based out of London and Poland, but we service worldwide. I have a backlink service called Authority Builders. I have a course called the Affiliate Lab. And when it's happening, I'm the host of the Chiang Mai SEO conference.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was really upset that the Chiang Mai conference didn't end up going through. I mean, obviously with current situations with COVID and things like this, it's kind of comes with not wanting to have large groups of people together. But yeah, once that does come back into place, I'm really excited to get back out to Chiang Mai and see that. We also did meet up at the No Bad conference as well, and that was pretty fun. But yeah, really like to see the Chiang Mai SEO conference come back as well too. So.
Yeah,
me too. I miss it.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think we're all kind of hurting to be around other humans again. I hear everything that you have going on, Matt, and I'm definitely curious into how you have any free time. Actually, it's going to be one of my questions for later. But before we dig into some of those questions, I did want to press you a bit more on your, history of acquisitions, because I know that you've done a few, buying and selling, flipping with us. And I was curious if you'd be willing to have a little bit of a deep dive on one of the acquisitions or selling and buying that you've done with us.
Sure, we can take a look at the latest one that I purchased.
Cool. Awesome. So to kick this off, we usually ask people, how did you get financing? I don't know if yours is going to be sort of matching the stories that we've heard from other people, but I'll leave it open. So how did you get financing for this particular deal?
We particularly don't ever go with financing or borrow any money or take on investors or anything like that. When we're an agency in the sense that we're completely set up to building these websites at scale, but we don't have any customers. And this is just the type of credo that we go for. That's our culture. We don't want to have any bosses at LeadSpring. So we don't get any financing, and we'd like to keep a war chest of about $110,000, $120,000 just to see if there's anything that we see that's super hot that we want to buy right away. We always just have cash on hand. And typically, that also indicates the type of businesses that we're buying. We never really go over 100K.
Okay, cool. That was my hunch, but it's good to get that clear. And I didn't realize you had a threshold for sort of what you were buying. So it sounds like you've got at least a price idea in mind. How would you approach due diligence for your sites? And, what else are you looking for specifically?
Yeah, so specifically, it's the first thing I look for, is it in a niche that I want to be in, right? I always am looking for something in health, wealth, relationships, something that's essential, something that's recession proof. these major topics, right? And I'm definitely always looking for branded domains. I don't want to get bestwirelessrouter.com. I'd rather be techguru.com so I can get into routers, I can get into hosting, I can get into VPNs, I can get into all that kind of stuff. So that's the hard or high level criteria. But in terms of due diligence, I kind of look at it as a balance between the opportunity you see with the website and balancing that against the red flags and the warnings you see with the website. In terms of opportunity, the first thing I look at is conversion rate optimization. Like, what can I do to the site right now to get it making more money? And people say that, button CTAs is like basic CRO, like this is CRO for noobs. You need to move on to more user experience stuff. But if you see any kind of button on a website that says click here for view on Amazon or something like that, I look at that as like, okay, here's anywhere between a 150 to 200% improvement on CTR for these CTAs. Simply because if you tell people where they're going to buy something, then you just told them everything. They don't need to click it to find out. You don't get the cookie, right? So just things like that. I look for CRO. Another thing is, are they sending everyone to Amazon with the worst affiliate program in the world? Can I replace these affiliate links with something better? If they're sending people to Amazon, maybe they're putting the worst products on the top 5 list or something like that. So CRO is the first thing I look at. Then the next thing I'm going to look at is technical SEO, because with SEO, there's a lot of things you can do to improve SEO, and I look at all of it. But the main one that I look at right off the bat is technical SEO, because these are typically problems that are fairly easy to fix, and they have impactful changes once you get them fixed. So something like index bloat, if the website is indexing a whole bunch of pages on the website, like if it's a slow website, anything like that, it's going to result in some gains once we get it fixed right away. And then, as I mentioned, we're balancing opportunity against red flags. So in terms of red flags, I'm going to look at backlinks right away. One thing I'll look at is just what are the top backlinks on the site, right? Like if I load it into Ahrefs and I look at the referring domains, which are their best ones? And I better not see any crap for the best links that they have. They should all be hard to get backlinks that I would have to put in some effort to get. And then also looking down at the worst links that they have. Are these all self-generated blog comments? Are they spammy? Are there any hacked backlinks in there? So backlinks are a huge source of where things can go wrong. I'm also going to look at traffic fluctuations. So I obviously don't want to buy a site that just tanked in traffic. Like there might be something wrong with it. But I also, on the other hand, won't buy a site that's never had a divergence from a vertical or a positive growth in terms of traffic. The reason because of that is a lot of times websites, before they're on Google's radar, they just simply climb. And then when they hit a certain threshold, like Google takes notice. I'm not saying there's someone at Google who's like watching for these things, but the algorithm takes notice. And it's like they get taken back down from the stratosphere back down to earth. So I won't get something that's on its first traffic rise. And then lastly, looking very hard at verifying earnings. Like one horror story that I've had is I've bought a website before that it was making money, or at least I thought it was making money. The affiliate dashboard said it was making money, but it wasn't because of any of the links that were on the website itself. This seller had been posting affiliate links on forums and stuff like that. So the website was making zero money. It wasn't a big loss. I only bought it for like 10 grand, but still that's something that'll sting you. And it was something that I'm definitely going to look at for the rest of my life.
That's a good point. And I'm curious, it sounds like you've got a system in place for that. How long does that take you to get through? And is that you looking at it? Is that like your team going through that with you?
This would be me. So I haven't quite outsourced this one yet. And I don't know if I would. I like it. I mean, and it's something that in my position at LeadSpring, this is something that I should be doing, driving the direction of the company. And what better way to do that than to pick the projects we're working on?
I don't know if you'd be willing to share, but I mean, how many, websites do you have in your portfolio right now?
So we used to be a super wide company where we had this idea, okay, we're going to rank 100 websites and I'll make $100,000 a month kind of thing. Now we've kind of made it much more tall. So I think right now we're probably about 9 or 10 websites, but they're very large, very, very large. They're big authority sites.
Okay, cool. And I think we'll dig into that in a little bit. I did want to ask, when you're doing these acquisitions, what's your approach for negotiations? Do you perform any type of deal structuring, or do you have something else sort of in your pocket?
I don't know how other people do it, but I normally don't go for any kind of deal structuring or anything like that. We cash on hand, so we'd rather just get it done then and there. Plus, I don't have the access to get SBA loans, or I suppose I could, but I don't want to fly to the States and meet with the loan officer or anything like that. So typically what I do for negotiations is, just like when you're buying a car, you highlight the things that aren't exactly what you're looking for on the site, these red flags that I just discussed, and say like, I see risk here and I'd like to see a discount based on these kind of things. And you also can offer, like you can beat the other deals that are coming in by offering cash up front. I'm no expert in negotiations, but if you're interested in it, a very good book for your listeners is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He used to be a hostage negotiator, and so he's like an ace at doing negotiation. And the story that he tells and the book is very story-based and very interesting, and kind of lays out negotiations for a layman.
Yeah, no, it is a great book. He's also got like a course online and stuff that I've taken before, so he's a pretty cool guy. I think this kind of builds into some of those, green flags and red flags you were talking about earlier, but do you have a roadmap for what you do to a site once you acquire it? What are the kinds of changes that you're making to help it reach the levels you'd like it to reach?
So yeah, that's like a big question. That's
I know.
Like asking, what is SEO? What is all the things involved in SEO? But speaking of the green flags, like I'll address those ones that I just talked about before. So CRO comes first because I can make more money today. And then technical SEO after that, where we're taking a look at what kind of gains can we get SEO wise that are going to pay us back this month, right? And then optimizing content was going to be a big one. And then starting to roll out what's our content plan, getting content, posting once a day, once a week, whatever that might be. What is the order of the content that we're going to start rolling out? And backlinks as well. Starting an outreach campaign, getting backlinks flowing in. If your listeners want to see an awesome, at least I think it's awesome, but a pretty good breakdown of what I do for a website when I first acquire it, check out on Diggety Marketing Project Cashflow. This is like a follow along case study. And just not too long ago, I just acquired a domain. I literally talked about this exact same question. Here's all the things that we did. And there's a lot more than what I just described.
Okay. No, and I think Brandon's got some specific questions that'll probably tie into what you would be normally doing to a site anyway. So I know you were talking that you had just recently done an acquisition. I don't know if it's too soon to talk about that acquisition and the outcome, but I was just wondering what that outcome might have looked like once you had implemented the changes that you were just mentioning.
So I won't lie and say that, well, when the site that I bought, I think it was about for 60 grand or something like that, 50 grand. And it was making like somewhere between 1.7 or 2.2K per month. I'm not going to lie and say that it just immediately jumped up to 10K. It's not like that, especially when you get your hands on a new website and start a backlink campaign. That website has not had a backlink campaign. Google doesn't just say like, okay, this site's ready to take off. You have to kind of get them used to these links coming in. Mm-hmm. And it's been a steady climb. Right now it's at $25,000 a month. So I'm pretty happy with its growth for sure.
Yeah, it's really great to hear. And it's a long-term strategy, right? With SEO in general, it's not something that's going to just skyrocket to page one or the top of the rankings, on the first day. It's definitely a long-term strategy, I guess, with SEO in general. But backtracking a little bit more into backlinks, I know you said that's really like something that you do. Make sure that you go through, you're checking through backlinks on any given site, whether you're going to acquire it. And that's something that's really important for you. And I know this is also something that's part of the service, the search initiative that you have, that you guys do build backlinks for, clients and customers that are trying to grow their businesses and with quality backlinks. So why don't we discuss a little bit further in detail what it is that you do with your team about, vetting or auditing backlinks on a given site? What is it that you're looking for, as far as the different tiers or maybe even like the quality of backlinks on a site? And how do you differentiate those tiers of backlinks themselves?
Yeah, I suppose we're talking about not for like a client, but like a website that I'm looking to acquire. Is that clarification correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like I mentioned before, like on a brief scan, I'm looking, like I'll load up the website in Ahrefs and I'll look at its referring domains. And so I want to see a bunch of referring domains that would be hard to get of a decent domain authority, so a domain rating. So like I want to see a bunch of links that it just would be difficult for me to obtain. And these wouldn't be links that are just blog comments on any kind of website, any forum links and just stuff like that. Like Google has devalued these, what I call Class C links. So any kind of link that anyone can create with just a little bit of elbow grease, blog comments, Web 2.0s, all that kind of stuff is, Google's devalued that a long time ago. Google only wants to reward links that seen to be produced by the editor of the website itself. Then we have like Class B links, where these are also free to get, but everyone uses them. So it's kind of like a justification strategy, right? So this would be like business citations. So going to a industry related directory and putting like your website in there, for example. So if I had a website on home improvement, I might go out to like some home improvement directories or contractors and stuff like that and put my business in there, or local based directories as well. Then we have social links. So everyone should create a Facebook, a Twitter, a YouTube, a LinkedIn, a basic social fortress around the website. Those are all like Class B links. Everyone uses them. That's why it's a good thing to do, because you want to blend in with what most normal businesses are doing. But the links that really move the needle, I would call these Class A links. And these are the ones that are hard to get. They're juicy. These are the ones that you would have to get through outreach. These are ones from real websites that are actually ranking in Google and pull traffic themselves. That's a good criteria to figure out if a link is good or not. Because if Google likes a website enough to reward it and give it rankings and traffic, of course, they're okay with its outbound links. So there's various methodologies to get these Class A links. Outreach. You can do outreach for guest posts. You can do link insertion outreach, where you identify a page on someone's website and say, what would it take to get a link in this article? You can do things like, we're experimenting a lot with digital PR right now. So creating statistic-based content, reaching out to journalists and trying to get things to go viral. You can do testimonial-based outreach. So this is a clever one. So everyone who you're reviewing on your website, whether that be a protein powder, whoever you put in first place, you reach out to these guys and you say, hey, I want you to know that I put you first place. I'm also willing to toss you guys a testimonial. Do you guys think you would put that up on your website and then maybe link to me back instead as well? So that works good too. If you guys want some nice ideas on how to get these links that work, check out the Authority Builders blog. So authority.builders/blog. I talk about all these outside the box backlink techniques all the time.
Yeah, no, it's something that I've seen a lot of your content as well. It's always fascinating to me to see how you're actually building these different tiered links, and their quality and difference. Now, for those who might not be familiar, say they go through, they figure out a way to gain these higher level links and these more hard to gain links. Is there any specific number of backlinks where, okay, like say you acquired 25 new links in one day from basically sending out a bunch of outreach, would Google look at that like, okay, this is obviously this couldn't ever possibly happen? So basically what my question is, what would you say your link velocity that you would recommend site owners perform? Would you say there's a formula where you should only be building, say 10 backlinks per month or per week? What is your take on link velocity in general? So
it depends on traffic, right? We have to think about it like this. Anyone who links to a site has to have at least visited the site, right? Mm-hmm. There's no one that's going to link to a website without checking out what they're about to link to. And you also have to load the site up in order to copy and paste the link. It's just, you have to at least visit it. So if we look at it like this, we have to be able to justify the amount of links we're getting by the amount of traffic that we're getting. Also knowing that links are really rare in the real world. We need a lot of traffic to justify one link. I talked about this recently in a webinar. If you go to YouTube and Google link velocity, you'll probably see me coming up number 1 or so. And I give a table where, based on how much traffic you have on the site, what is a safe amount of maximum links you would get? Sorry, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah, I saw that as well. And it was something that I thought was really fascinating because I was curious, say you did a mass outreach and you have your email marketing campaign set up and you've got systems in place where you're constantly hitting people up to try and get these links or building, through guest posts, I guess you would. But so I was just curious what your take was on that. But as long as the traffic is reflecting those links, I guess it wouldn't really matter as long as the traffic is sufficient enough for those links to be acquired, correct?
Right. Yeah, that's the idea.
Got it.
I'm curious, I don't want to make you repeat too much here. I know we're focusing on link building, though I'm curious, what other types of services outside of link building? I don't know, it could be like VA management or content writers. Do you think offer the biggest benefits to those in the content space?
Well, writers for sure. There's no way to scale, especially if you have any kind of high goals on how much content you want to put out without having good writers. So I don't necessarily use a writer service, but I hire writers individually and have them dedicated for a site. I use a Facebook group called the Cult of Copy, and I usually look for subject matter experts and get them on board. And I also think like content editors is good for your own sanity, right? Because there needs to be someone who's the gatekeeper to make sure that all the pieces of content that enter the website fit your standard operating procedure. So content editors are great. I highly recommend getting a designer on hand or designer/dev, something like that, where designers are good because they're just going to take the content that was written and upload them to the site, right? You don't want to be the one that's all constantly decorating and uploading posts and stuff like that. And I think at a certain point, it's good to have a dev on hand, someone who's going to like fix your speed or create a fancy table or just fix some PHP problem. I recommend this company called WP Runner. You can subscribe to them for $99 a month, and there's unlimited WordPress fixes. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds impossible that they can do this, but it's true. And everyone I've referred to these guys, no one's ever complained. And then obviously like link building, like definitely if doing any of these little buckets of SEO all by yourself is going to drive you insane. Link building as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, it seems like you've really got a good system in place. You know who to outsource to help, support you in growing these sites. But, was there ever a light bulb moment for you where you realized I really need partnerships in order to make things happen? I'm thinking just having read through your bio and stuff like that, you said something about this moment of like realizing maybe, writing everything yourself wasn't your forte. Things changed when you got the right people in the room. So I was wondering if you could tell us about that, because I think a lot of people managing their own sites, they want to do it all themselves, and it takes that light bulb moment. So I was wondering what yours was.
Right. I think I went into this thing from the beginning, coming as an engineer and working 60-hour weeks, reading the 4-hour work week. And so having this mindset of like time is the ultimate commodity that you never want to sacrifice. So I went in from the beginning knowing that if I'm doing a task, get ready to let go of it and do it in such a way where you're taking good notes and someone else can do it eventually. So I always had scalability and outsourcing in the back of my head. But in terms of partnerships, that took a while. I think at some point I just realized that everyone has a specialty and mine doesn't equal stuff like operations, like decent at it, but to get really down the nitty-gritty of fine-tuning and operations, I'm probably not the best. I'm better at looking at high level and fitting pieces of the puzzle together, but I'm not that good at nitty-gritty. So if I want to get to the next level, I need to find someone I trust and someone that's great at these kind of things, and this is going to create a synergy that will skyrocket us. And I've made some good partnerships. I've made some bad partnerships, but the ones that do work and the ones that I have right now are freaking amazing. Props to you, Pete. Props to you, Jay. Everyone else that I partner with, you're amazing.
That's awesome. Well, what you said there about just time kind of being the ultimate commodity, going through a lot of the stuff that you create, I can tell that, efficiency and optimization, these seem like they're passions of yours. But I'm curious because, not everyone is good in those areas. Like you were saying about, okay, you had the light bulb moment realizing, I need to outsource. I might not be good at some of these nitty gritty things, but it does seem like you are great at this idea of efficiency and optimization. What advice would you give to those who are striving for more efficiency, but just really struggle with it?
Right. So I think anyone can be good at it if they just see the numbers behind it. So the first thing you want to do is calculate your value per hour. You look and see how much money did I make on average for the last 3 months? And then how much time did I work on average for the last 3 months? And you just do a division. So maybe you're worth $400 an hour, right? Then you can see, okay, if I'm worth $400 an hour, anything that costs me less than $400 an hour, I shouldn't ever do that. So I can make more money if I take my time and put into something else and let someone else who might even be better at that than I am do it instead, whether that be writing content. I'm sure content per hour, we usually pay for a word, but it couldn't be more than $10, $15 per hour, something like that. That'd be something that's just a no-brainer. I know my value per hour. I know how much content costs, so that's going to get outsourced. Another thing you can do is completely just track your time. I'm doing this exercise literally right now. So I have a notebook next to myself, and it says, I started doing this podcast, 8:52 my time, and I'm going to end it at a certain time. So I know exactly how many minutes I spent doing podcasts. And then I can kind of triangulate and figure out what kind of value did this podcast give me to decide whether I want to do them ever again. And we'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah, so the bar's been set really high. No pressure. Okay, well, it's cool. On that sort of idea of systemization, because I'm jumping around a little bit here, but I did want to ask, because you have your portfolio built out, sounds like you're going, what do you say, tall versus wide? I think that's how you put it before, something like that.
Yeah.
Certainly, it sounds like you must have some sort of internal deal flow in place, because I was curious what your system was. How do you decide when to sell versus to hold, when to build further? What's your rhyme and reason for that?
Interesting questions. So when we decide to buy, it's basically, do we have the bandwidth to take something on, and do we have a niche we really want to get into? It's a combination of those two things. And when we see the stars align, we found a good niche, or we feel ready to move forward, or we've sold a website or something like that, it's time to buy. I'll use 3 different methodologies for deal flow. Obviously, looking at marketplaces, just like Empire Flippers, and seeing if there's anything coming up that would fit what we're looking for, and that's when you guys see make a purchase. Other ways I look for websites is if there's something that's really, really like super niche, and I know it's just not going to show up on Empire Flippers anytime soon, it's just like, what are the odds of that? Then I'll do some outreach to existing websites in the space. So I'll look for my main keyword that I can imagine making the most money from, and I'll look for sites ranking on page 2 to 4. And then start to reach out to these guys and make them an offer. Page 2 to 4 is a good spot because they're almost making good money, but they haven't quite hit that spot. And to do outreach this way it's a long slag. So these people aren't ready to sell. That you just brought the suggestion to them, and they probably still have stars in their eyes, especially if they're getting gains on their website. So you have to be very patient with this. And lastly, the third place where I would look for websites to purchase if I just want to get into a broad niche, like say I want to get into technology, then I just make a post in my Facebook group, Affiliate SEO Mastermind, or flip in websites and just say, like, is anyone selling a branded domain in this niche? And then look at them in that regard.
So it sounds like it really does come down to the right opportunity versus like a hard and fast timeline.
Yeah, exactly. And when I exit, it's kind of based on where we're at with the niche cap. So there's more topics to talk about, and we think it can grow. We're going to continue to talk about it and continue to write content and continue to scale. But when we see the end is coming at some point, we like to leave like 20% of topics to talk about on the table, because who's going to buy a website that's completely saturated in niche? So when we see the end is somehow getting closer, then we'll consider selling.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, totally. Okay. So, on the subject of some of the current trends, I mean, obviously you have, multiple different facets to your umbrella network. Essentially, you have Lead Spring, you have Search Initiative, Authority Builders, Affiliate Lab, where you're actually teaching people about SEO. So is it Authority Builders where you actually have customers or clients coming to you that, you're helping them to improve their SEO and gain rankings, or is that the consulting side of that project itself?
Good question. So Authority Builders focus completely on backlinks. And yes, our goal is to improve rankings and traffic for sure. The Search Initiative is more like your typical SEO agency where we take everything over. So the content, the technical SEO, the backlinks, etc.
Okay. So the Search Initiative is more on the SEO side. So with the Search Initiative, when you guys are taking over businesses and you're starting to improve the SEO side on it, what do you feel are some of the biggest SEO trends moving forward into 2021 and to the next 2, 3, 4 years?
Well, let's see. So I can only make a guess based on the last algorithm update, which was pretty darn messy. Last algo update was in December 5th, and there's messy results all over the place. But one thing that's apparent is that Google is continuously pushing towards more authority is required to rank. So it's even to the point where you see websites like medium.com or Associated Press or other just general news websites. I see local newspapers ranking for niche type keywords. Like obviously they have no expertise, but they do have a crap ton of backlinks. So we're seeing a shift towards authority, but I don't think it's going to last forever. There's so many bizarre looking search results right now that I think Google has to dial it back pretty soon. But that is something that we continuously see over time. And then other trends like a lot of people are talking about, and in May 2021, you need to look at Core Web Vitals, which is kind of an indicator of user experience, especially on mobile. So they're doubling down on user experience type stuff, and they're doubling down on fast websites and stuff like that. So I would definitely watch out for that.
Okay, got it. Now, what do you feel that website owners or business owners, say they want to do things more hands-on and take their things under their own, power to try and improve things or to stabilize things anyways. What do you feel a content site owner could do to better prepare their business for future Google algorithm updates?
Yeah, so we have a saying in the affiliate lab, my course, called do all the things. And SEO really is about doing all the things. You really want to run a tight ship. And that means like your technical SEO is looking perfect. Whatever tool you want to use, whether that be Sitebulb or Ahrefs, Screaming Frog, whatever, your technical SEO is on point. You got good expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. Your content, it's matching the search intent. It's optimized to rank. You have good backlinks, all this kind of stuff. And how it is these days is you do have marginal movement between algorithm updates, but it's on the day of the update where you really, really change course on your website. So SEO is kind of like we got our boat in the harbor right now because there's no update and we're working on it. We're hammering away. We're getting things fixed. And then we push it out to sea when the update comes and see if Google's going to take it away in their sales. And it's going to take off or it's going to go the wrong way. Maybe we didn't do the right things, but it's always about just getting the website in good shape when Google scans over it and these updates.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. It's making sure that you are following, what their, I guess, core rules have been when they release these updates and, making sure you follow those guidelines. And also, you having such a long history, I'm sure you've seen the progression in these updates and maybe, I don't know, have you noticed that they've been getting more strict with their algorithm updates? Are they sort of looking at certain aspects of the website versus what they were looking at 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. It gets more complex and it's able to detect more spam, and that's their goal all the time. But when they do that, they make mistakes as well. So there's still black hat techniques that work all over the place. I mean, but it's getting more challenging. There's no one who can doubt that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then you also had mentioned something earlier about authoritativeness. So I wanted to touch base on EAT, which is expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness for our listeners that might not be familiar with it. Can you explain what that means and, how can business owners maybe use what you call is the influencer pitch to establish EAT within their own business?
Sure. So EAT came out with the quality rater guidelines, and it's just something that shows up a lot. And quality rater guidelines is when they have people at home, people that are reviewing websites, and they use a set of guidelines in order for them to figure out if their results look normal. So these readers and these viewers will evaluate websites and say, yeah, this one passed, your Google search results look good within this niche or something like that. But the guidelines talk a lot about expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And websites should demonstrate all three of these things in order to be able to talk about their content, right? If I'm talking about plumbing, I should look like an expert, I should be an authority, and you should be able to trust me, right? So a lot of people take this way overboard and think like, oh, well, okay, I need to have my content written by the best plumber in the United States with 25 years experience, otherwise Google will rank me. Well, Google doesn't have the capability or the capacity to go up and look at credentials on the authors on a website, but they do have the ability to check and see, is there someone, period, who operates this website, or is this just a rinky-dink affiliate website with no one on the about page, no way to contact it? Like, this doesn't look like anything real.
Right.
But the influencer pitch is a tin hat way to kind of just prepare yourself for the future in case Google gets the capability and capacity to be able to check on your authors and stuff like that. So what I do is if I'm in a niche, I will go out and look on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and I'll find someone who's trying to be a growing influencer in the space. And I'll reach out to them and I'll say like, hey, we're SEO business and we're building this website right now. You can see us ranked number 1 for all these 10 things. We're looking to have someone to become a bit of a face for the company. So we were wondering if you want to come on board, we can ghostwrite some articles in your name and you can get credit for being part of this growing website that'll eventually compete with this website and this website. In exchange, if you'd like to, if you would just produce us some 3 YouTube videos per month to kind of show your appreciation or to become more ingrained as part of the brand. And this pitch works like gangbusters. Like the key is you can't go for the highest level influencer, you have to go for budding level ones. And yeah, it's a great win-win. We get expertise, authoritativeness, and trust, a real person on the website, and we get free YouTube videos and they get street cred for being part of a website.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And yeah, it's like you said, you're actually establishing like that voice, because I guess as you're mentioning, Google is looking through these websites and they're making sure that there is a voice or there is someone backing it or backing this information behind it. It's not just throwing a bunch of information out there that they've scraped online and then just kind of trying to piece things together, I guess. It's actually coming from someone with a little bit of credit at least. So yeah, that's really awesome to see that. Now, so what do you think are maybe some of the key aspects to improving SEO that a lot of business owners are missing right now? Say someone has a business that comes to you wanting to improve their ranking. What do you think is one thing that they're always just, okay, this is the first thing you need to fix? And you're constantly seeing this in people's profiles on their websites that you're just saying, okay, this is the first thing you need to focus on.
I think that a lot of people don't realize that the answer to ranking in Google is always on page one, right? It's like we're playing poker with our competitors and we can see their hands, right? Because you can just see what did Google like in this particular niche by looking at who's ranked in the first, second, and third position. So one key flaw that I see people doing all the time is just trying to be different, right? Like, I want to write the best piece of content on protein powder, so I'm going to just do something completely different. But that doesn't work because Google is an algorithm and they only know what's good content based on what's already ranking and the patterns that they see from the already rankers. So that's the key. Just emulate what's on page one. Of course, you want to do better than what they're doing in some small way, but for the most part, keep the structure and keep the key search intent the same as well.
Got it. Really solid information. I mean, if they're ranking number one, they're doing it for a reason. And, if you can maybe try to match their backlink profile or at least try to match them in some other aspect, there should be no reason why you couldn't be in their position as well, too. So,
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this has been going great. We definitely got a lot of value out of this. One thing that we do like to do with our interviewees is end things up with like a little rapid fire. So rapid fire number one, what advice would you give first-time buyers who are looking to acquire their first content site? If it could be deduced to something rapid fire, what would you say?
Take your time. So always do strict due diligence. I think a lot of people, when they're buying, they feel pressured by time. They feel like, okay, this seller is trying to make a deal. He's got 100 other buyers. Like, I'm under a time constraint. There's no time constraint. That's always in your head. If this person has ran this website for a couple of years, owning it for a good 2-3 weeks more isn't going to make a difference to them. So take your time with it.
Yeah, it's definitely solid. I guess it's funny that you mentioned, taking your time. Like you don't definitely want rush into anything too, right? Especially if you're putting down $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 of your own money. You want to make sure that this is something that's you're going to be willing to avoid risk, but at the same time, make sure you're doing your due diligence on this business and this acquisition before you go all in on it. Yeah. So next question for you then, Matt. What tools or resources do you think can help aspiring entrepreneurs within the content space that you use on a regular basis?
Let's see. So resources, check out my blog on Diggety Marketing. Check out my YouTube channel. There's some great podcasts. I mean, Empire Flippers is a great podcast that's talking about industry trends all the time. Authority Hackers, Gail and Mark at Authority Hackers have great podcasts as well. So a lot of places to learn. And, if you don't know anything about this, I'd shortcut the process and take a course, find a mentor or something like that. Everything for free. Everything can be found about SEO and affiliate marketing online. It's just how long do you want to wait to find it and how long do you want to sift through the bullshit in order to find the actual stuff that works.
Right.
Absolutely. It's a good point. And finally, what would you say has been your funniest moment from working online as a digital entrepreneur?
I don't think I'm allowed to say, to be honest. No, for real. It's such a good community of digital entrepreneurs. We were talking about the DC before, and even the affiliate SEOs and SEOs in general have such a great community, even though it's online, that when people get together, it's like we're at like a high school reunion. And I've had countless of funny moments. I can't even say that I've met up with anybody or had a get together or a meetup or a conference that wasn't completely fun and funny. It's just a great thing to be involved in something like this. And definitely the community part is the most addicting part of it.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like, tying you back to what you said originally about the engineering space, like everyone ended up like bald and fat and burned out. And it sounds like the SEO is maybe not so much. A little bit less of that.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of mavericks with too much money having fun. I mean, it's a good lifestyle, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on and just jam-packing this with a lot of valuable info. We've certainly enjoyed it. And hopefully we actually see you in the real world sometime soon.
Yep.
Let's work on that. Well, we got to get this COVID thing solved, but
Yeah,
we'll
minor detail.
Make it snappy. Yeah.
But once it is, we'll definitely be out in Thailand again with you for sure. I'm looking forward to hitting up Chiang Mai again and all the fun times we've had out there.
Let's do it. It's been a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, thank you.
thanks.
Hey everyone, as promised, now that we've wrapped up this episode and learned about how you can improve your SEO and backlink profile to move the needle in your favor in both traffic and revenue, we wanted to connect you with some of our best listings in the affiliate space. So first up, we have listing 48704, which is a 4-site package of affiliate businesses created in the legal niche. What's included with this listing is 4 primary domains and all site content and files, along with 30 additional domains. So this is really very great to see as far as an SEO perspective, because now you're gaining some traffic through additional domains, and perhaps you might even have a few EMDs within this category of what's included within the listing, along with the affiliate count. And the breakdown as far as the revenue is concerned is that the business earns through 4 different affiliate programs hosted on ShareASell. So the breakdown in earnings between the 4 primary sites is as follows: it's 65%, 25%, 8%, and 2%. What's also interesting to see with this listing is that the seller has part-time contractors, so there's 5 in total, and the seller spends currently around 15 hours a week on the business. Most of the time, their primary tasks include monitoring the team's work, but if you did have a few additional VAs currently already within your ecosphere of your business model, you could also maybe limit that time down even further. The team is willing to continue with the buyer just in case you didn't have a team already established, so you wouldn't have to worry about taking on any additional operations if you didn't have a team in place. And the seller is also willing to provide basically the idea and also help the writers in content moving forward as well too. Now, the team itself is made up of 2 writers and 2 link prospectors, with a virtual assistant also helping with daily operations. So a lot of the majority of the work is already handled by these contractors, so you wouldn't necessarily have to be taking over a full-time investment job per se. You do have a team already established that's going to help you move the needle in your favor. Now, what the 2 link prospectors implement is a complete white hat link building program. So this is seeing the business being able to acquire approximately 110 white hat backlinks within the last 6 to 7 months. And since these link prospectors have been with the business. So this is a great opportunity where if you already have an SEO background and you're already familiar with how to build high quality backlinks, you already have a team in place with these link prospectors already implementing, a complete white hat backlink profile within this business. And then you could also focus on maybe even adding in additional affiliates or maybe even additional affiliate income through this business, which happens to be within the legal niche. So there is quite a bit of room you could grow and scale within this specific niche as well too.
Awesome. Well, keeping in the same vein of affiliate opportunities, this one's a little bit different, but there's still that affiliate potential in there. So listing 50184, it's an e-commerce dropshipping and affiliate business in the apparel and accessories niche. So I really like this one because we're always talking about businesses that, you could mix an e-commerce portion into a content-based business. And I think this is a nice mix of it. Though the affiliate portion of the business is small at this point, there's still room to grow that and scale that with time. This business has an email list of 200,000 subscribers. There's also an SMS marketing list of 40K subscribers, so a nice sizable list there for anybody to start marketing to. The business is a well-established brand, and it's, obviously it's got this large following in place. And it's actually got like quite a sizable team supporting the operation. So it doesn't have to be daunting taking over a business that's got this e-commerce and drop shipping portion of the content. Basically, there's 13 to 20 employees that can help with project management, writing content, and there's some freelancer developers that can help. And, I think it's got a nice little operation here going where, the seller doesn't have to spend loads of time managing the business and yet can keep themselves active, making money through a couple different strong channels. So this one's pretty cool. And I'm glad that we could highlight it for today because I think it'd be a good opportunity for any interested buyer. So I think that just about wraps up this week's episode. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. We hope you've gained some valuable insight to the opportunities that digital acquisitions offer. Click the link in the description or visit empireflippers.com/marketplace to learn more about these businesses or other listings currently live on our platform. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a comment or leave a review, and we will be releasing more content every week, so make sure to tune back in. Until next time, we're your host. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Brandon, and thanks for tuning in to this week's Opportunity Podcast.